What is up, brewskis? My name is Marco Dupa. And with me, as always, it's the great, it's the powerful. It's Adam Obesius Rodriguez.
Yeah, buddy.
Tonight's brew is from Redlight Brewery Tap Room. Gonna be beer pub very, very soon.
Wow.
It's a collaboration with a couple of the neighbors in the area, Townie's Barbershop and Lucky Horse Tattoo. And Obi's going to have a little bit more about that after the break. What's on tap for tonight? You want to tell the people?
Oh, we got a best of episode.
It's a best of episode.
We're getting that time of year.
That's right.
Decided to do a best of movies, music, and video games. All the stuff we like to talk about.
Exactly. So if you're tuned in, sit tight, get comfortable, because we're going to run through some lists. Some might take us longer than others. Some are a little bigger than others.
Yeah.
But one thing that I can guarantee you guys is I'm going to kill my dog if it doesn't stop barking. And whether or not you agree with the list, we hope you enjoy the lists.
Yeah.
So without further ado, this is episode 376 of the One Beer In podcast.
Y'all ready for this?
Yep. So, ladies and gentlemen, this is the One Beer In podcast, the podcast where two brews crack open a brew and see where that one brew takes us. So, Obi, would you like to tell the people a little bit more about what we are drinking tonight?
I would love to. This is the Love Thy Neighbor from Redlight Brewing Company, and it is brought to you by Redlight, Townie's Barbershop, and Lucky Horse Tattoo. I see Ghost Mountain tattoos down there. What is that for? Do you know what that's for?
I think, if I'm not mistaken, Ghost Mountain is the artist who designed the label.
Oh, okay, cool. I'm assuming they work at Lucky Horse Tattoo.
Yeah.
All right. This is a malt liquor, 7% ABV, 16 ounce, brewed in Florida. And I have a little bit to read for you from the official Redlight Instagram page. Wednesday can drop. Love Thy Neighbor is our malt liquor collaboration with wonderful neighbors Townie's Barbershop and Lucky Horse Tattoo right across the street. This recipe is different from our OG 32 malt liquor. We use cracked Florida corn, and this beer was fermented in our oak Fooder. 16 ounces, 7% ABV. Grab a friend and head over Wednesday night. We're doing that. We're doing that right now.
Told me to grab a friend.
Yeah.
It is Wednesday night.
Yeah.
So, yes. If you guys are a fan, if you're local, obviously, and you're a fan of the Redlight malt liquor, shimmy on down to the bar, grab yourself a 4-pack or 2 of the Love Thy Neighbor, because, in my opinion, it's a tad bit better than last year.
Wow.
So, obviously, we'll get more into our opinions at the end of the show.
Yeah, we sure will.
So, let's just get ripping, rocking, and rolling.
Let's do it.
On these lists. So, we're going to start with video games. Best of video games.
Yeah.
This year has been a very good year, I think, for a lot of indie titles.
Sure, yeah.
There's a tweet that's gone kind of semi-viral, and it's a clip of Dr. Disrespect complaining about the state of gaming in 2022.
Yeah.
And then some other guy, like the tweet is attached to the clip, some other streamer who's like, oh, it was fuck, I know who it was. It was a guy who only plays Smash, really. really big Smash player. But he was like, I only play Smash, but I really don't, like, nothing's really come out this year that's, like, really interested me. And it's like...
Interesting.
Yeah, it's a very, I don't know, it's a very reductive way of looking at
Yeah.
gaming.
Well, and I actually saw a response to that Dr. Disrespect clip saying something to the effect of like, well, yeah, if you're upset about playing a game and then play 8 more hours of that game.
Yeah,
like,
he really doesn't have a leg to stand on because his entire career is dedicated to playing like 2 or 3 shooters.
Right.
No one is like, you're dictating your programming, bro.
Sure. Yeah.
It's your channel. You
Right.
can decide whatever you want to put on it. You know that your bread gets buttered by these dog shit FPSs. That's on you. But
Right.
don't complain about the state of video games when you spend your working hours playing one game and beating your head against the wall
Well,
while doing it.
And I get it as far as like that's what his audience is asking for, so therefore he will continue to do that. But at the same time, if it's leading you to be upset at what you're playing, you're not going to be performing well.
Yeah.
You know, it's going to be diminishing returns as far as you as an entertainer.
Well, for
if you're
him,
bored and tired of it.
part of it is that's the shtick, though.
Sure.
I would say just in general, you can be mad at the game you're playing, but don't put that energy on the rest of the industry.
Yeah.
Because that's how it came off, was like, gaming sucks. There's nothing to play.
Right.
Which like, no.
is unequivocally untrue in 2022.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. There's a ton to fucking play.
Well, let's get into it.
Let's do it.
Let
me start.
Okay.
Because
I
my
was
list
gonna
is
ask how
shorter.
we're going to do this, yeah.
And more.
We don't talk before the episode.
No, we don't.
Sit in silence.
We don't talk at all.
No.
I think that your list is gonna be better than my list. Let's just say that because my list it consists of like not my favorite games of the year, but the only games that I played in the year, basically.
That's fine. I mean, that means they brought something to the table, right?
They all brought a little something.
Okay.
So,
and mind you, we were asked to bring 5, our top 5 of the year. So, Marco, what is number 5?
Number 5 is Modern Warfare.
Okay. Modern Warfare 2.
Modern Warfare 2, the sequel to the tremendous 2019 release. It's Modern Warfare. At this point, they've got the formula worked out. They as long as they don't stray too far from the sun, I think they'll be okay.
Yeah. You change just enough, keep the people coming back.
Yeah.
Keep it interesting.
And this is the year that they've decided that they're not gonna they are jumping off the yearly releases.
Right.
And
Which is important to mention because a lot of people will sort of look down their nose at people who buy the annual releases every single year.
Yeah.
But I'd say if you're gonna buy Call of Duty at any point, this is probably the year to do it.
Yeah.
Since it's gonna be a gap until the next one.
Yeah.
So you might as well get in now, so you're in that ecosystem for
Get while the getting's good.
a little longer than you normally would.
And also, if you have a PlayStation, who knows if we're even going to get another
Sure,
Call
sure.
of Duty.
We'll see. We'll see what happens.
Do you want to alternate, or do you want me to just run through my list?
Let's alternate.
All right, Obi. Top 5. Or number 5.
My
rather.
number 5 is a little game called Trombone Champ.
What a great title.
PC game. It came and went very quickly, and I understand why. It's a very simple game, very silly game, where you play the trombone to famous classical music and
Play the trombone.
other tunes. And the mechanics are so simple and so dumb, but it is just, mind you, I want to set the stage for this. The entire list that I have, all the lists I have here, are not necessarily what I think are the best things. They are my favorite things for this year.
Yeah.
So I want to preface that. So don't get in the comments and say, "Oh my God, why didn't you put Elden Ring in here?" So,
spoiler alert: Elden Ring's not going on my list.
I didn't play it. I have it, but I didn't play it yet. So I'm sorry.
How do you have it and you didn't play it?
Because I'm stuck with God of War. I cannot go back and forth. Okay.
Stuck with it.
Yeah. Oh, it's terrible.
Yeah.
Boo. But yes, Trombone Champ. Incredible fun. I mean, it's one of those games that you probably can only play a handful of times before the charm wears off. But that's all you need. It's a low price for entry, and it's a lot of fun. And it's one of those little party games that you whip out every once in a while. It's a good time. Everyone has a good laugh because trombones sound like farts. And that's all I have to say about that.
Nice. Yeah. My number 4 is going to go to a little tiny game called Overwatch 2. So, as it's been stated on this show many times before, I'm a big Overwatch fan.
Yeah.
It's one of my favorite games. Overwatch 1, one of my favorite games ever made. I think when the game is working perfectly, it is a perfect game. But Overwatch 2 brought in some weird changes, brought in some different mechanics. Some stuff worked, some stuff didn't.
I heard the servers didn't for a while.
Yeah, I mean, well, if you tried to play the game immediately, good fucking luck.
Wow, surprise, surprise.
Yeah.
The fumbled launch of an online game.
Can you imagine?
Wow.
2022, we're still doing this. We're still having this conversation. But once everything kind of smoothed out, the game, I don't know. I think that there's some shelf life there. I think that they're gonna have. I think it's got legs.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think it's the world-changing release that Overwatch 1 was. But I think they still have time to right the ship and get them back to kind of competing on the world stage as far as video games are concerned. Mm-hmm. Maybe get back to Overwatch League and all that stuff that kind of added a little bit. Fucking chair. A little bit of juice to playing Overwatch. So I'm off it now because I have other games to play in place of it. But I would still be playing, and I feel like I'm gonna, once they get all the kinks worked out, I'll be back on it.
Okay.
Yeah.
Nice.
So.
Well, my number 4 is a game we actually enjoyed together. It is Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles: Shredder's Revenge. We're big turtle heads over here. Mm-hmm. Grew up with it. I think this is one of the better sort of retro style reimaginings that I've ever played.
Yeah.
It's not only a clear throwback to the arcade game and the SNES game and even NES games, but it doesn't reinvent the wheel, but it does enough to make it updated and feel better, and it does all the right things to make it feel modern enough for a modern audience while also giving you the nostalgia buzz of playing those old games. Mm-hmm. I think it's really pretty. The soundtrack's amazing, and yeah, I think if you've have any nostalgia for Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles or even just brawlers in general, I highly recommend it, especially for couch co-op.
I mean, Ghostface Killer and Raekwon.
Incredible.
I mean, come on.
Stupid.
I
wish that wasn't spoiled for me. Imagine just playing it and suddenly you're like, what?
Yeah.
What?
And how good the actual song is.
Yeah.
The fuck?
It's thundering
Dude,
out there.
I don't know what's going on in this place anymore. I actually have at number 3 Shredder's Revenge.
Nice.
Yeah, for everything that you said and more. I mean, it really is. Games, gaming companies have tried to do the half nostalgia or updated nostalgia thing to diminishing returns sometimes. But this Turtles game is because there was this, and then there was the collection that came out this year. And if you love Turtles, we love Turtles,
I like Turtles.
I would say get both.
Yeah,
but the collection is just real nostalgia, just going back and playing all those classic games and stuff. But
and it collects a lot of the old pieces of the instruction booklets and the box art, and it's like a museum piece. It's really cool. Yeah. If you're around during that time, or you're sort of a game historian as a youngster, it's really cool.
Yeah. But Shredder's Revenge was actually an updated game using the mechanics from the old games while kind of pushing it forward a little bit, which was made the game like the problem when sometimes you go back and play some of these beat 'em ups, and once the nostalgia kind of wears off, you're like, all right, well, I'm just button mashing. Yeah. But Shredder's Revenge actually, like, it was actually kind of, the mechanics were interesting.
Yeah.
You know, you could pull off like combos and stuff. And
very
you could do,
light
like,
RPG mechanics too. Like you level things up and
right. And you unlock more moves and stuff, and yeah. So they did like little things to get you, and it's a short ass game. Well, we beat it in like what, 2 hours, 3 hours,
something like that.
Yeah. So it's like it's
it took us 2 hangouts to do it.
Yeah.
So
Shredder's Revenge at 3 for me, Marco.
Ooh. My number 3 is Horizon Forbidden West. I think this year was really good for big, sprawling, open world games.
Yeah.
And among the top of that list, I would put Horizon Forbidden West. I think it is more of the same as far as Horizon goes, but that's okay. I think the first Horizon was so good that they were able to add just enough to make it worth your while, and on top of that, make a really interesting story. Which, I'm a big story guy. So what do you want from me?
Story guy. Yeah,
I'm a big story guy.
He's a story guy.
It, even though it was like big and kind of daunting at times, because it's like there's so much to do, and I rarely felt like encumbered in like, I don't want to do this anymore because it's just too much. I was always feeling propelled by the little story beats they give you, even with side quests, and like, moving through the golden path to get more and more little bits of this interesting sci-fi, but somehow also prehistoric story that's going on. And it kept me engaged the entire time. The gameplay loop of like looting the dinosaurs, the robot dinosaurs, and like
checking their pockets,
sticking them up, and all the different tools you get, the different weapons, the gameplay loop though of like upgrading your things, finding these individual pieces you need to upgrade something else, and continuing through that kept me going. And it's one of the most fun gameplay loops I enjoyed this year. So for that reason and more, that's why it's number 3 on my list.
All right. I have at number 2 Sifu. A game that we both had been anticipating for a while.
Yeah.
But I was really obsessed with the idea of the game itself, which was like a full-on martial arts game where you have guys who developed the game with real martial arts in mind. I always love when a game does that, when they're like, it's not going to be just like slap, dragon kick, blah, blah, blah. Like,
sure.
It's actually going to be, you block in a way that's like Wing Chun, Kung Fu, things like that. Like Rise of Honor. Remember Rise of Honor?
Yeah.
Bro, silly, underrated game that people, I mean, Jet Li had this, he had a couple of years where he was like the guy.
Yeah.
And in the middle of that, they come out with Rise of Honor, which was like just a silly, he's like an undercover cop. It's kind of like Sleeping Dogs before Sleeping Dogs.
Right. I'm sure they were inspired by that.
Yeah. But the best thing about it was they did this really cool thing with the mechanic, which was you used the right analog stick to fight with. And it would be the direction that you fought in, and he would do like, he'd do like automatic combos, which kind of took a little bit away from like your control of it, but like countering, and like he would do, it was actual Wing Chun.
Yeah.
And no one since has used the right analog stick to fight like in the direction or to strike in the direction that you want to strike, which I think is a genius thing that no one's done.
It was definitely interesting.
So you fast forward to Sifu, which the game itself, the fighting mechanics are incredible. And then you have the fun replay value of the conceit of the game, which is that every time you die, you come back, but you age, like 2 or 3 years every time that you come back, depending on like how you just play the game. There's like these little like coin thing that you have that like every time that you die, it damages a little bit until it breaks, and then you reach age like 72 or 82 or whatever. I think the highest you can get is 80. I want to say 81 or 82 is the oldest you can get.
Yeah.
Before you die and you just die.
Right.
But you get stronger. You don't forget any of the moves that you picked up through your gameplay, but you're basically a glass cannon. So the stronger you get, the weaker you are because you're an older man.
Right.
But like you're a fucking savage.
Right. You're frail but strong.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Crazy cool mechanic.
Yeah.
Fun story. Really fun to play. The only downside is that its difficulty is how do I say this? Yeah, it the second that they show you the basic mechanics of the game, they're like, figure it out.
Good luck.
And then you get your fucking head cracked over and over and over until you figure it out. There's no real like it's an exponential rise in difficulty. I think there's a better way to say that. But anyway, that's really the only beef that I have with the game. And that it's kind of, once you get done with it, it's one of those games where you like, the replay value is going back and redoing the same thing and just kind of like figuring out different ways to do it and stuff. And those games don't have that much replay value to me because once I finish the thing, I'm like, I feel like
you're done with it.
I got it. Yeah. Replay value for me personally comes from like a really good story that I want to. It's like rewatching a good movie.
Sure. Yeah.
You know, I can do that. That's why I played Metal Gear Solid conservatively. Like if I'm being realistic, probably I'd say at least double digits, maybe like 10 or 11 playthroughs of Metal Gear Solid.
Yeah,
for sure.
Yeah. All right, my number 2 is Call of Duty Modern Warfare 2.
No way. Number 2?
Number 2. And I'll tell you why.
Tell me.
Numbers don't lie, my friend.
Okay.
And even though this game only came out a couple months ago, is swiftly became the game I've played more than any other game I've played all year.
Wow.
Why that is as I mentioned with Horizon Forbidden West, the gameplay loop. The unlockables, the way that you progress in the game, they have mastered the carrot on the stick for the gamer.
That's for damn sure.
And with them switching it up just enough to make it interesting and different than it was before. I know that was a sticking point for you that you didn't necessarily enjoy. I liked it because it made it so you did have to really play with all of the weapons.
Yeah.
And I'm still unlocking attachments to this day.
Yeah.
So I just like the idea of them incentivizing you, trying different play styles, figuring out different weapon sets and classes and things like that. And that's kept me coming back for more because it is mindless entertainment.
Yeah.
And between the stresses of life and a more meaty game like God of War or something, I need that. I need just a simple release where I can jump in for an hour and just plug away at something and feel like I'm progressing at something. And for me this year, it's been Call of Duty. And I will say I'm more of a Battlefield guy, but the quickness of the games and the sort of arcadiness of it all has kept me coming back to Call of Duty more recently than Battlefield.
Yeah.
The story is entertaining. I see the issues with it. I see the issues with people who don't necessarily think it's very tasteful.
Mm-hmm.
I understand.
Mm-hmm.
It's still a lot of fun, and it's still intriguing, and it's like the cinematics of it are some of the best I've ever seen.
Yeah.
Really good stuff. I love it. I don't know what to say. I can't I can't sit here. I was thinking after you put it on your list so low, I was thinking about swapping it between Horizon and Call of Duty, but no, I'm sticking to my guns.
Yeah,
literally.
There you go.
It's a great package, and I'm not even a person who really plays Warzone very much. Mm-hmm. So once I get into Warzone, I can only imagine this thing unfolding even more for me and becoming.
If you get into Warzone,
I will. Mm-hmm. I'll do it.
Okay.
Threatening you.
We could play tonight. Oh shit! My laptop's gonna die.
Oh no!
Oh, fuck!
Oh god! Run! Run!
Oh
no! Don't panic.
Forgot to plug it in.
Plug it in. It'll be fine. We have time. We still have time. Okay. All right. All right. We're still on. We're still on. Yep. Beautiful. You made it. We made it.
Okay. Something is plugged in that should not be plugged in.
Oh, I see. Okay. Well.
Okay.
Now that we have a stable power source, as I was saying, yeah, I can only imagine the value of that game only expanding exponentially once I get into that mode. And I saw recently there was an update, there's new maps, like all that stuff's going to keep me coming back for more, and I'm excited about it. So, call me basic, but
basic.
It's doing it for me this year.
You're a basic bitch.
I know.
No, it's fine. You love a game. That's what this is about. It's about what you enjoyed. Mm-hmm. Excuse me. Fuck these haters.
Yeah.
Yeah. Still on my list.
You can hate me now.
I don't know if my number one and your number one are going to be the same. Because you might throw a curveball in there. But I'm just going to say, my number one's pretty obvious.
Okay.
It's God of War Ragnarok.
Of course it is.
Yeah.
As is mine.
Okay. I mean, it's so far. I haven't finished it yet, but so far, I mean, it's the only thing that I want to do. I'll play Warzone with like Southie and them, and I'll be like, hey, listen, this night better go well, because I turned off Ragnarok to fucking jump into Warzone.
I don't
with you
need
guys.
this.
Yeah, exactly. I don't need to be here.
Yeah.
I have plenty of things to do.
Right.
I got plenty of chests to smash. Way more unlockables to unlock.
Yeah.
Worlds I haven't visited yet.
Yes.
Battles that need to be fought.
There are people waiting for me.
Berserkers to destroy. I got a lot of shit to do. I don't need to be here.
Yeah.
So, I mean, it's... I read a review that was like that nitpicked it a little bit, and I agree with some of the nitpicks from this review that I read. Some stuff about like talked about it a little bit, like your companions jumping in when you don't need them, and like just like little things, little nitpicky things that kind of take you out of the game a little bit. But overall, those are they just fall to the wayside.
Yeah.
When you get a good combo going, or when something really dramatic happens in the story, or you just stop for a second to just smell the roses of the game, and you just kind of look around. You're on a mountaintop and you just kind of look around. You just bask in how well made the game is.
Yeah.
You look at Kratos' character model and you're just like, he just looks incredible.
Yeah. How they do this.
Yeah.
I think it's even more impressive with the fact that they had to also make sure it worked on PS4.
Well, I can't imagine what it must look like on PS4
People
or how
say
it plays.
still looks nice. It still looks good.
Good. That's
Yeah.
good. That's good.
Surprisingly. But yeah, no, it used to make me anxious almost. Like I was saying in, I think the last episode or the episode before that, when we talked about it, that there's just so much. It's such a content-rich world that I was like, I can't find all the stuff, and that's going to bother me.
Yeah.
But then I learned to let it go. I learned to let it go.
How I learned to let go.
I let it go, and then also on top of that, I have stopped rushing the game. I've decided I will get to the end of this game when I get to it. But until then, I'm not going to like just run for the golden path and only do the things that I need to. I'm going to explore around. So far, the main like side quests I've done have all been worth it. Whether it's learning more about characters, getting a cool unlockable, getting some more money, whatever it is. And the good thing they do about their side quests is that even if it's not super interesting on face value, even the path that you're on lets you find more stuff.
Yeah.
You know, like you'll find more chests because you're on this side quest.
Yeah.
Or you'll find more urns to smash or whatever. Vases.
I do appreciate that the side quests themselves, you like the lore gets fleshed out a lot. That is pretty cool, because sometimes the side quest is just like, help me corral my pigs, and you're just like, why the fuck am I doing this?
Yeah.
It's like, I'll give you some money. It's like, I don't need your fucking money. There's money everywhere.
Yeah.
But in this one, they at least make it worth your while. Whether you get a good piece of armor, or like you said, it takes you on the path where you get money and different like amulets and stuff like that.
You get to fight like a mini boss. That's fun.
Yeah.
Or on the way there, you have those like long conversations on the boat. You know, like those things that all flesh out the world and the characters that just make it that much more interesting and worthwhile. I hope by the time we get to the end of the game itself. It's about those little experiences, not necessarily like the main story that you're main pathing. So with that in mind, I've only grown to love it more, and I'm looking forward to spending my time, more and more time with it, as much as I can, really. So yes, I agree. Number 1.
All right. What did we say? What next? Movies or
next is albums?
Albums.
We're gonna go for albums.
Okay. All right. We'll start with you this time.
Okay.
I'll just say this. I have to relook at my list.
Okay.
Obviously, being the person that I am, this is the longer list for me. This was the one that was harder to narrow down, and I really didn't narrow it down. I just have. I'll give 5, and then I'll just give some like honorable mentions.
That's what I planned on too. I have 5, but I also have literally 5 honorable mentions that I can do as well.
Yeah.
Okay, I'll start this one first. My number 5 is one that I haven't seen on many best of lists thus far, but I think it's been a bit underrated and forgotten, and for good reason, because this has been a very good year for music.
That it has.
I'm gonna go with Jack White, "Fear of the Dawn."
Oh yeah.
I think it's definitely his best work in the past handful of years. I think it is him at kind of the hardest he's sound recently, and also having still some semblance of form and pop appeal in a way, but also a bit off the rails, which I think is a sweet spot for Jack White, and probably where I like him the best. I had a lot of I was genuinely surprised by how much I enjoyed this album after sort of diminishing returns of his solo work in the past few years. But this was a fun listen, and I went back to listen to it again today just to kind of refresh myself, because it has been a few months since it came out. And it's as enjoyable as I had remembered it. So as a long time White Stripes fan and Jack White fan, I hope this is a sign of things to come from him.
Yeah.
Of having fun, making harder music, and also going a little off.
So yeah, this is the weird.
Rails.
That's not the acoustic one. That's the weirder one. Okay.
Yeah.
I remember we talked about that. You were digging it when it came out too. Yeah, that's right.
Yeah.
And everyone was like, "What?"
You do?
Well, because the acoustic one is the one that's making a couple of the lists, not a lot of them, but that's the one that's making more like year-end lists,
which I like. But
it's good.
If I had to pick between the two, See, if I was cheating right now, what I would do is combine the two and say the two of them.
That would be cheating.
Yeah.
Unless if he dropped them on the same day, then
sure.
I would allow it.
Sure.
But
that's fair. That's fair.
they're like what, a month apart?
Yeah, something like that. If not longer.
Yeah.
The acoustic one I like as well, but not quite as much. I think it's a little too sleepy for me.
Yeah.
For what I like from Mr. White.
Yeah.
So.
All right. My number 5 is going to go to the Viagra Boys, Cave World. This is an album that, I mean, I like, it's hard to find like really good punk music now because I guess I shouldn't say it's not hard to find. It's hard to find like straight up like good like traditional punk music. There's a lot of bands that are doing like a hardcore kind of pop thing, which is awesome too. Like Turnstile has turned into one of my favorite bands.
Yeah.
Especially with their last album. And it's because it's heavy but also melodic.
Yeah.
Fun to listen to, kind of dancey. It's just it's a perfect album. It is. It really is. It's perfect. But sometimes you just want some just fucking
Yeah.
And Viagra Boys Cave World is like a sort of concept album about like a caveman and like a
cave world.
A cave world. A Neanderthal like coming into 2022, and there's all these weird references to
it's
like
Encino Man.
The future. It's basically Encino Man, yeah. You know, there's like all this lyrical reference to the vaccines and the pandemic and the world ending and going back to being a primate, the primordial soup, the like just releasing yourself from society and all this stuff. It's just it's an incredible album. It should really honestly be higher, but there was just so many good albums that came out.
Yeah.
That it's at 5 only because of all the other quality.
The richness of this year in albums.
Yeah.
All right. Number 4 for me is SZA. SOS.
Oh, fuck, I forgot.
It was one I was on the fence about putting on here because of recency bias. You know, I was afraid of it being just too close in proximity to when I was making this list, which it very well could be. But I am just enjoying it a ton. And, you know, it's so varied, and it goes in interesting and like directions I didn't expect a SZA album to go. And on top of that, it's so refreshing to have such a toxic take on life in general and relationships
from a woman's perspective.
And unabashedly, like, just completely off the rails. And it is again just so refreshing to hear that, and exactly kind of what I didn't realize I was looking for in this album. And I think it's a little overly long. I will say that. I think it could have been cut down by a handful of songs.
Yeah.
But that doesn't detract from the fact that I had a really good time listening to it, and it actually surprised me by how much I enjoyed it. So recommend SZA SOS.
It's a fantastic album.
Yeah.
Still listening to it.
Yeah.
My number 4 is going to go to Your Old Droog, Yod Stewart. Your Old Droog has been in the game for a minute now. We talked about him years ago on the podcast and actually caught some flack for it.
Yeah.
Because people thought that we were like shitting on him, but it was his fault. He started his career and everybody assumed that he was a Nas side project. And he didn't do much to quell those rumors. You know what I mean?
Which actually was smart.
It was super smart, yeah. Like, especially now when you look back on it, yeah. But don't cop an attitude with us.
No.
He's the one who remained a mystery and like didn't show his face for a while and did not come out and deny those rumors for a long time. He let that shit he let the dust settle on that for a minute before he finally came out. So that's not on us, okay? It's on him.
Yeah.
He's been very consistent throughout his career, just dropping quality projects. And these past like 3 years or so, he's done this thing where he's shortened the track list and basically dropped an album every quarter. So instead of you getting one album or maybe 2 albums at 14 tracks and you're like, maybe this was a little too long, maybe not, I don't know, yada, yada. You get a 7-track album that may be too short for some people, but is chock full of quality and leaving you wanting more. So he put out like 3 or 4 projects. And to me, the one that stood head and shoulders above all of his other projects this year was Yod Stewart. I think every song on there is perfect. I think it's borderline classic album that people probably won't talk. I'm not trying to be like that guy, but he drops so much stuff
sure
that
gets lost in the mix.
It does.
Yeah.
And I don't think people are really talking about Yod Stewart like they should be. I think it's an incredible album.
That is the downside of doing that format of a bunch of short things. Because people look at it as like, oh, it's just an EP.
Yeah.
You know? Or if somebody's new to him is an artist in general, they're like, where the hell do I start?
Yep.
You know?
Both of those very valid arguments because it removes the event level thing to it. It's no longer like when an artist drops a debut album or they're back after not having dropped something for a couple of years. It's like it's an event. But when you drop something every fucking 4 months, it's like, well,
it's a new game versus DLC. Yeah. All right, I respect it. With that being said, I think almost ironically, I'm going with Nas, King's Disease 3. I mean, I don't know if I can say much eloquently about this album other than like I love the hell out of it. I was expecting as a line of King's Disease, because King's Disease 1 and 2 we both talked about as being incredible projects, along with Magic, which was in between. But you know, I gotta be honest, I didn't know if he could do it again, because, you know, as a big Nas fan, I've been around since the beginning. He has his ups and downs, you know. But you know, I think the trick with this project is that it's so cohesive and coherent. You know, we have the same production. We have, you know, it's literally just it's such an old way of doing this in the style of Illmatic, you know, or something like that, where it's just so highly focused. And I think that's what we got with King's Disease 3 we now have a suitable trilogy that I'd be happy to call a classic. Yeah. Of albums in a rapper's elder years, essentially, for rappers. Obviously, Nas isn't like old by any means, but for a rapper, he's up there. But you know, I just love the self-awareness of it, the amount that it is about being older, but also not being stuck in your ways and not still being able to be productive in older age and still have something to say. Yeah. And I think that's something that we don't get much, especially in hip hop, for messaging. And it, again, I'm going to use the word again, it's very refreshing to hear that from, you know, somebody who's known as a legend in hip hop, and it not just be like, oh, he's just trying to do the same thing over and over again. He's using different messaging and clearly lessons he's learned over time as a human being, but then the skills that he had acquired over decades of doing this, you know. So it's a bit of old and new coming together to make this incredible thing. I think it's a feat that he was able to do it 3 times. Yeah. So I mean, but on its own, standalone, King's Disease 3, I think it could be up there as a modern classic in my eyes. I loved it. I thought it was a great way. If this is a trilogy, it's a great way to cap off this thing that he's done. Yeah. So love it, Mike. I think he should, if he has any kind of self-restraint,
they should cap it with this. I mean, they don't have to stop collaborating.
Sure.
King's Disease needs to end with this.
Yeah.
It needs, because if it does, I agree. It's just like it's a near perfect to probably perfect trilogy.
Yeah.
With like a nice little detour with magic.
With magic, yeah.
It's fun little.
Yeah.
Yeah. Agreed.
Yeah. Hit Boy.
You're gonna be Hit Boy, man. Hit Boy. It's a guy.
Yeah.
Fucking man.
Yeah.
Hit Boy. Oh no.
Uh-oh.
I think you're gonna be surprised. No Nas on my list.
Wow.
No Nas.
Okay.
Not to say that I didn't enjoy King's Disease 3.
Sure.
I did. Tremendously so.
Mm-hmm.
But when I was making my list, I was thinking about like some stuff that came out earlier in the year that may have you know, if you don't keep up with these lists and then you go back and look at a list, you're like, oh yeah, but you don't really remember what it did for you in the moment.
Right.
You know, it's kind of harder to recollect.
That's why this list is so hard.
Yeah. Yeah, definitely. And with that in mind, I have to go number 3, Toby and Wigwe, Moments. This is a guy that I discovered. You're welcome, Toby. No, I found out about him through going to Bonnaroo.
Flex.
Yeah, well, you know,
When I was at Bonnaroo.
At Rue, me and my Rue crew, he was one of the guys who I'd heard some of his stuff, and I liked his style. I liked the originality of it. I liked his swagger. I liked everything about him, but I didn't know that much.
Right.
I knew enough. I knew his bigger songs. Right before Bonnaroo, he had come out with a single which was really good. So I was like, all right, sick. So me and Lottie, we were like, fuck it, we're gonna check him out because we're, you know, the songs are good. We'll see what his set is like. And I talked about it on the show. It was a highlight of my Bonnaroo experience. His performance was incredible. I said it. I think I said it on the show. He to me showed the potential of what a rap performance could be when a guy just is out there rapping. And I talked about like how people are always like, oh, you know, it'd be really cool is if you had a band behind you. I'm like, fuck you. Just let the guy go out there and fucking rap, man. And that's what he had singers behind him, but like it was literally just him and some dancers and some singers and stuff. And like he showed just when you bring energy and love into what you do, what a show could be. Yeah. So his album finally comes out, and it's he has garnered the respect from some of like the biggest names in the game. I mean, like some of the collaboration, Black Thought, Royce to 5'9". He brought Chameleonaire out of retirement. Wow. You know what I mean? Like, yeah, Moments is a great album.
Okay.
And it fulfilled the prophecy or the potential of what he was doing with these singles and stuff and what he was doing with his live shows. It lived up to the expectations. So
nice.
Toby and Wigwe, Moments.
It's big. Okay, my number 2 is Kendrick Lamar, Mr. Morale, and Big Steppers. You know, I think it's no surprise that Kendrick comes out with hits after hits after hits. This one is a bit of an understated one. I think it's one of his projects that I've gone back to least, I will say. But I think that's more based on the content and sort of the entire theme of the album itself. Yeah, it's more of a thinker. There's some bops in there, but it's not one that I go back to very often.
It's a thinky bopper.
It is a thinky bopper, and that's what Kendrick's good for, is thinky boppers. If there's one thing he does, it's a thinky bopper.
It's a thinky bopper.
But, you know, I'm not going to let that take away the fact that I was blown away upon first listen and second listen and third listen. And I think the more you do listen to it, the more you get out of it. It's very dense. It's very rich. I'm not talking just about his lyrical content, but the soundscapes and the themes and everything surrounding it. It is a concept album of sorts, and I just think it's such a rich tapestry of an album that I wouldn't be surprised if we come back to this in a few years and be like, wow, that was something special.
Yeah.
Again, which I won't say I'm surprised by, but it's impressive that he's had such a run in his career, like from the beginning. It's been so consistent over time that I don't think he's had a bad album yet.
No.
So hopefully he keeps that up, but check it out for some thinky boppers.
Yeah. No K Dot on my list either.
Okay. All right. I'm glad I put it in my mind.
Yeah. Number 2 is gonna go to Queen. Fuck it. She's a king too. Let her be king and queen.
Okay.
King B.
Holy Spirit.
Renaissance. Beyonce's Renaissance.
Yeah.
I mean, it came out and it just rocked my fucking world.
Yeah.
I mean, I listened to it nonstop for at least like 2 or 3 weeks. Like I just couldn't stop, man. I'm on my way to work, like, you won't break my soul, dude. It's such a good. I mean, it's like you're gonna see it like top 3 on all these lists and stuff. It's not like the most original take on, but it's just when an album is that good and undeniable, like fuck it, it's just you gotta throw it on there. It's just it's I mean, she masterfully kind of shimmies her way into 90s house and deep house and dance music.
I will say, because of that, probably my favorite Beyonce album.
Yeah, no, that makes sense.
Because that's exactly the sound that I like.
Yeah.
And listening to it, I went in a little apprehensive. I'll be honest with you. Like, I like Beyonce. Wouldn't say I love Beyonce. Right. Sorry. I'm sorry. I'm just being honest.
Hey, listen. Hey, we don't agree on that one. I love Beyonce. I love her to death.
More of a Rihanna guy.
I mean, I get that. I get that.
Say.
That's fine. Yeah. We don't have to pit these two queens against each other.
I'm not trying to. I'm not trying. I'm just trying
like
to.
You are. It sounds
I'm
like
not.
You're the enemy
I'm not.
Black unity. That's what it sounds
like. I'm not. All I'm saying is, look, I understand the appeal, and I think that she is a massive star, obviously, and a massive talent. Right. A massive talent, one of the most talented to ever do it.
Yep.
Just not necessarily what she chooses to do is not necessarily the sound that I go for.
All right.
It's not necessarily to my taste, generally.
Right.
But this one is. She got me with this one.
Yeah.
And I can't agree more. I think it's a great album.
Oops. So yeah, that was my number 2.
Number 2.
And your number 1, sir?
My number 1. It came very close to being Beyonce, but I decided instead to swerve just a little bit. And again, because the numbers don't lie, and I looked at my Spotify end of the year list, and the one album that I listened to more than any others, The Weeknd, Dawn FM.
No way!
Is my number 1.
Dawn FM.
Dawn FM.
Dawn FM's a fucking awesome album. Yeah. I just can't believe. Well, your Spotify rap was really interesting.
Yeah.
Some of the stuff on there.
So that's on the
Radiohead was still on there. Right?
Oh yeah, of course,
of course.
That stays there. But no, Dawn FM. Dawn FM. I let me say this. Okay,
say it.
I've always liked The Weeknd, right? I always have, from the early days. Now, I understand why a lot of people fell off on him once he started getting into more of like the 80s groove and like the Daft Punk sound and stuff like that. I ate it up. I think it is a vast improvement on his sound. It only expands what he's been doing.
Yeah.
As opposed to just the sad horny guy. Which he still is, but it has a danceable beat to it, which I like better personally.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, I was loosely anticipating this album based on, the singles and stuff. And then I think it was Amazon had that premiere concert experience thing that they did like at midnight. And I don't know why, but I was randomly up at midnight and it's like, I'll give it a listen. Why not? And I started watching it on my phone and I was like, oh, this is like, is this as good as I think it is? And then I'm like, I didn't get my headphones. I put my headphones on. I was laying in bed and I plugged in my headphones, and I just listened and watched to the entire thing through.
Yeah.
The entire concert experience. And I was like, am I tripping, or was that incredible? Is that like the best thing? And, the next day I went and listened to it again and again and again and again and again and again.
Yeah.
And I just think that the way that the album flows from beginning to end, the concept of it, I'm overusing this word by this point, but the soundscape of it, the sort of like electronic dance club vibe of it is something I gel with so much. And I'm glad that sound's coming back.
Yeah.
And, I think it just works so well with his voice and his style. And this is exactly scratching the itch of what I want The Weeknd to be doing. It's a little dark.
A little.
It's very dark. It's dancey though.
I mean, the whole album is about purgatory.
Yeah, but there's like ballads in it, but there's also like straight up dance songs. I think the entire thing it was very impressive to me, and he got Jim Carrey. So what do you want from me?
He did.
Number one.
Mm-hmm. Great number one. Love it. The trilogy of his albums, or that it's going to be a trilogy, was Dawn FM. Was the one before that? No, I'm talking about.
Mm-hmm.
The two albums, but I can't remember the names of them. But it's a trilogy of albums. It's a story that's continued. It's a narrative rather that's continued through the 3 albums, which unfolded right
After Hours.
After Hours. So yeah. There's After Hours and then
Dawn FM,
and then the next album is supposed to complete the trilogy.
Mm-hmm. Which he did with House of Balloons, Tuesday, and Echoes.
Yeah. Which the guy is, I think, we're going to look back and be like, I mean, he did some like stellar things with his albums. Mm-hmm. The Weeknd has a voice that if he wanted to, he could just rest on his laurels and create, generic
pop
music. He could just do that and have like, a very serviceable career.
Sure.
But instead he's like, nah, I'm going to do weird.
We're going to get really weird.
Yeah. And I'm not going to explain these things, and you're just going to have to figure it out. And like, I love when an artist just goes for it, man. Yeah. When they're just like, no, you're gonna have to figure it out. Yeah. And it pisses people off, and you're like, but at least they're doing it. Yeah. They're doing it. They're putting aside what could be like a very lucrative way to go about this, and I'm sure he's obviously still making tons of money and like his streams, and I get that.
Which is even more impressive though.
Right.
Because he's doing it his way.
Right. And still doing those numbers.
Yeah.
There's no telling what he could be. I mean, no offense, but, it's what Drake is doing. Drake could be doing more interesting things. I think he's talented enough to do more interesting things with his career. And instead, he's chosen to just kind of rest on his laurels and phone it in. I think he's phoned it in for the past, 3 albums. I don't think any of them are necessarily bad, but none of them are, extraordinary.
Yeah.
Which is why he's not even on my honorable mentions.
Nah.
But something that is not just on my honorable mentions, but an album that I listened to front to back, I don't know, for the first 3 months when it came out, and my quintessential number one album. It probably shouldn't surprise any of you at this point, but it's Pusha T. It's Almost Dry. Classic. It's a classic. Album. I don't think there's a bad lyric. I think what he did with splitting the album between his 2 best collaborators, Kanye West, rest in peace, and Pharrell Williams, to juxtapose the sounds while also fluidly making the whole thing work. The one criticism that gets levied against him is that he only talks about one thing, which on the surface you could say, yes, he just talks about cocaine. He's just a coke rapper. But number one, so what? He's so good at it.
Why does John Woo keep making action movies?
Exactly. And number two, just like John Woo, if you're really watching or listening, there's nuance. There's something interesting there. There's a comedy level to it. There's deepness. There's like a commentary.
Yeah.
There's all these little things that these artists use this thing that they're good at to kind of flesh out around it. I'm not putting anything on this, and I'm not thinking too deeply on it. Listen to It's Almost Dry. Or rather, listen to Daytona and then listen to It's Almost Dry. And tell me that he hasn't evolved his sound, his flows, his lyrical content, his wordplay, even his voice. The cadences that he uses are different.
Yeah.
He's evolving as an artist.
Doing more stuff.
This late stage in his career, after having a very lucrative career in a group,
Yeah.
he's the president of good music, which who knows what that means right now, but
It's not looking too good.
he puts out Daytona, which could have been his swan song if he wanted it to be.
Yeah.
And instead he's like, no, we're going to go back in for more and keep building on this thing.
Yeah.
I think it's the best album of the year. It's one of my favorite albums from him, and I think it's a classic.
Highly respect it, as it was on my nods, and it almost made my list.
Yep. So let's just run through the nods really quick.
Yeah. Agreed. Okay, so my nods are Pusha T, It's Almost Dry, for all the reasons you stated. Soul Glow, Diaspora Problems.
So good.
Yes.
Soul Glow was right outside my top five.
Speaking of modern punk, they do it hardcore, and it's great.
Yeah.
A couple of these, the last three that I'm going to mention here are on here because I actually did research and looked at a lot of top of the year lists and found these only recently, but haven't had enough time to absorb enough to be able to, actually put them on my list. So the first one is Sudan Archives, Natural Born Prom Queen.
Okay. I did see that on some lists.
Great sound, incredible sound, great lyrics, great performance, very interesting instrumentation. And there's so much going on in it. I want to dig deeper into that one. Recommend checking it out, at least from what I've listened to so far. My other one is Bad Bunny.
Yeah.
Un verano sin ti. Or un verano sin ti. I think it sounds so modern. It takes Latin pop to another level. Even if you don't understand the lyrics, it does so much with what it is and the constraints of what you expect a Latin pop album to be or Latin hip hop to be. It does so much with it. Yeah. And I think he has a great voice, and it's groovy and it's fun and it goes a lot of places. So recommend it. And then lastly, Big Thief, Dragon New Warm Mountain, I Believe in You. It's a heartstring puller and very soft spoken, but great lyricism, great storytelling, and it's a long listen, but it harkens back to singer-songwriters of the 70s, and I enjoy it a lot. Yeah.
Good albums. Yep. Good call. I'll just run through a couple of mine real quick because I just have a big list. I do have Kendrick and SZA on my honorable mentions. I do have the Bad Bunny album because as we were looking at year-end lists, I realized like how many it ended up on. I like Bad Bunny, but I'm not like a huge.
Sure.
But I listened to that album and I was just like, this shit.
It's good.
This shit slaps, doggy.
It's good.
This shit slaps.
Yeah.
I got the Nas album on my honorable mentions. I got the Wise Blood album. I thought that was really good.
Yep.
But
it's making
like
a lot of lists.
Really, really, like the ones that were like just outside my top 10. The Danger Mouse and Black Thought album was just outside my top 10. The Rock Marciano album with Alchemist was just outside. Stormzy was just outside. The Soul Glow album. And I think it's a toss-up between Drug Church, Orville Peck, and Wet Leg. Those were some of the albums that I was really enjoying. The Wet Leg album is fantastic.
Was Orville Peck this year?
Orville Peck was this year.
Ooh.
Yeah. I know, right?
I enjoyed that one too.
Yeah. It came out, I think it came out like, it had to have been like January or February. Yeah. It was like super early. Yeah. But the Orville Peck album was good. Oh, and Saba. Saba was a good album. I mean, there was just so many. This was anybody who's like, oh, know what to listen to, the fucking radio, blah, blah, blah. I'm like, dude, I mean, I have let go of that conversation a long time ago. But if you're in 2022 and you're still complaining about the lack of good music,
Yeah, no.
I mean, it's December, and we're still going back on albums that came out this year and going, oh fuck, I forgot about that one. That one's so good.
And albums that came out literally this week.
Yeah,
you know, like it's incredible.
Yeah,
we're fat with riches.
Yes,
it's incredible.
Yes,
incredible year.
Yeah, so. Absolutely, if you can't find a couple of good albums to listen to this year, that's on you, dog. I'm sorry. That's on you. It's not on the artist.
No.
They're putting out some of the best stuff that they've put out ever.
Yeah.
So,
yep.
Figure your life out, mate. Sort your fucking life out, mate. All right. Last but certainly not least, we got to talk about our top movies. Our movies of the year. I'll start. Morbius.
Okay. It's Morbin time.
It's Morbin time. Wait, am I starting, though?
Yeah.
Okay.
I started the last one. You started this one.
Morbius. Not even close.
No.
It's such a bad movie.
It's really bad. It's as bad as they tell you.
It is. I ruined a hangout night by forcing us to watch it.
You did.
It's just, it's so just painstakingly mediocre.
Yeah.
It's not like it's a horrifically bad movie.
Right. It's not Troll 2 where it's like so bad it's funny.
Right. It's just
bad.
So mediocre. It's just such a 5 out of 10. It hurts how much it's a below average mediocre movie.
And I shouldn't say it's bad. That is what it is. It's mediocre.
Yeah, because
it's boring.
It's performed well. The CG looks decent enough.
Sometimes.
Sort of. Sometimes. I mean, everything is there with what could be a good movie.
You see what they're trying to do.
Right. It's just, there's just something wrong.
It ain't working.
There is something wrong there, buddy. Something wrong, bucko. But I will say, what my actual top 5 is going to start off with is The Batman, an actual comic book movie that was fantastic. And I couldn't believe that it came out this year.
Yeah. Yep.
It feels like a lifetime ago.
Yes.
That movie came out.
Agreed.
Feels like that movie's like 5 years old.
Yeah.
Came out in 2022, and it's fantastic.
Yes.
A great, a great new take on, the basically the same old thing that we've seen.
The world's greatest detective.
Mm-hmm. And you kind of think, like, how many times are we going to go back here? Well, as many times as it takes until they stop being good. And Robert Pattinson's take on Batman as this brooding, emo, young adult trying to figure out how to be Batman, that was fantastic. We talked about it when it came out. Yep. I don't think we did like a full-on spoiler cast, but suffice to say, too long. Still stick by that.
Yeah.
Too long. But I thought it was fantastic.
I agree with you.
5.
I agree with you. It didn't make my list, but I agree with everything you said, and it is an honorable mention for me. For 5, I am going to cheat.
Uh-oh.
I'm warning you.
Oh, no.
For 5, I'm going with 2 movies made by the same director in the same year, in the same series, filmed back to back.
Okay, I know what you're doing. And that's fine.
Okay.
I'll allow it.
Okay, thank you. I'm going with X and Pearl.
Yeah.
I think these films are incredible. I'm hotly awaiting the third in this trilogy. They are very different films, and it's surprising to me that they were made back to back, because you picture that situation being a la, I don't know, The Matrix or Back to the Future, where it's like, okay, well, it makes sense they're doing these back to back to back because the movie's literally picking up right after part 1 into part 2 into part 3. Yeah, it makes sense. Not so with X and Pearl. Pearl is a prequel set decades and decades before X. And tonally, they are completely different films.
Yeah.
All within the same universe, all explaining and expanding upon the universe that Ty West is making, the director Ty West. And I haven't seen anything like this in horror, at least in modern times. And I'm very excited to see if he lands with the part 3.
Yeah.
Because I love it. I love what he's doing. If I had gun to my head and had to pick one of these, I think I like Pearl a little bit better because it's a pinch more unique. But love these movies. Make it a double feature. Enjoy.
Yeah.
Yeah. Love it. Love it.
Excuse me. Sorry. My number 4 is going to go to... some people might not dig this.
Okay.
Because it got mediocre reviews. I think it was sitting at like low 60s or high 50s on Rotten Tomatoes.
Okay.
I gotta go Bullet Train.
I knew you were going to do it.
I watched it, and I just... maybe I'm a fucking idiot. Maybe I'm a fucking moron, all right?
Uh-huh.
I just can't wrap my head around how critics didn't have the time of their life watching this movie. I enjoyed every second of it.
Yeah.
It's brightly lit. It's stylized. It looks really cool. I mean, some of the special effects are a little janky. Like they get blown out of the train a lot, and you're like, it's a bullet train. It's going like 200 miles an hour. How is this even possible?
Yeah.
But you shut your brain off for a while, and you let fucking Brad Pitt charm you through 2 hours of some pretty decently choreographed fight scenes. Some not so clever story twists and things like that. But as far as like an experience goes, I don't know, man. I swear to God, when I got done watching it, I Googled it, because I usually, when I finish a movie that I really like, I'll Google it, and like I won't just read reviews, but I'll like reread the synopsis and the narrative, and like maybe I missed something. Did I miss a line of dialogue? I'll just go through it. I'll just like really educate myself on it. I couldn't believe how poorly it was reviewed. I couldn't believe it.
Interesting.
I just thought it was so much fun.
Yeah.
It was so much fun. And it did really well. So at least there's that.
It had to, right? It's an action movie with Brad Pitt.
Yeah.
And it didn't look like it cost that much to make. So
Right.
I'm sure they made tons of money on it. Yeah. I actually, because of your glowing review of it on Twitter, I made Sherry watch it with me the other day.
Yeah.
And
What'd she say?
we had a good time.
It's a good time,
it was
right?
Fun.
It's just a fun movie to watch.
It's a little dumb.
It's super dumb.
And the CG's really bad sometimes.
Yeah.
Like them clearly on a green screen background at the end. Whatever.
Yeah,
it's
yeah,
fine.
that was a little hokey.
But, again, I'm someone who's a stickler for bad CG, obviously. If you're a fan of the show, But even me, I was able to be like, it doesn't matter. It's fine. It's fine. I'm along for the ride. It's a good time. It's highly stylized. Lots of bad accents in it. It's a good time. It's just fun.
It's just a fun movie.
It would have been a fun time at the movies.
Yeah.
Like it's along the like the echelon of the Smokin' Aces of the world.
Yes.
Like
yes, exactly.
It's just like a fun time. You're not going to remember it, but it's a good time.
I think if the movie was taking itself any more seriously than it is, you could have a good leg to stand on as far as criticizing some of those like worser elements of it, I guess.
Yeah.
But it doesn't take itself.
No.
It's just so tongue in cheek that like, how can you not walk away from it going like, well, that was fun.
Yeah.
Not great, but it was fun.
Right.
Number 4.
Okay. I respect it. Get ready for some whiplash here. My number 4 is Guillermo del Toro's Pinocchio.
Ooh.
I just watched it yesterday, so it is fresh on the brain. I will say, warning for potentially some recency bias. But, I mean, I think this is one of his best films. I really do. Starting from the animation alone, just incredible what they do with stop motion.
Yeah.
And this is supposed to be like a celebration of old school stop motion animation, and again, what they were able to accomplish with that, it is mind blowing. how good it looks as a stop motion animated film. I think it's one of the best stop motion animated films I've ever seen.
Nice.
Up there with like Fantastic Mr. Fox. You know, it's funny. It's well written. I know, me too. It's funny. It's well written. It's deeply sad at points, but it is such a well told story. And you know, I will say, as much as I love Guillermo del Toro, I think sometimes certain story beats don't hit the way I think he wants them to for an American audience. It feels like there may be something a little lost in translation, or it comes off a little hokey, or like just something feels a little off with some of his films, I find. Mind you, I love the man. I love most of his movies. This one's really landed for me, and I think top to bottom it is such a complete package, and it's so well done. I can't recommend it enough, especially because it's on Netflix. So easy to watch. Yeah, I mean, and it's like rated PG, so like literally everyone can watch it. Can't recommend it enough. Go see it. It's so good. Yeah, so good.
Yes, it's definitely on my list to watch.
Yeah,
I just didn't watch it fast enough to do this podcast. But I'm wanting to watch it. Yeah. All right, my number 3. We're getting back to our winning ways on this one. It's Top Gun Maverick.
Oh yeah.
Now we're talking about a fun and enjoyable experience at the movie theater, while also being a straight up good movie.
Yes.
You tell me you don't like Top Gun Maverick, you can get the fuck out of here. That movie was balls to the wall. Just a good time.
Yeah.
Everything about it. It's a movie that sequel to a movie from the 80s where it does everything that made that first movie great, and then it builds on it for a modern audience. And that's the only thing you can ask for in a sequel to a movie that old.
Yeah.
Take all the things that people loved about the first one, build on it, do it better. And that's exactly what they did. Top Gun Maverick is better than the original Top Gun movie. It's Tom Cruise at his absolute best. It's modern filmmaking at its absolute best. Yeah. It's Miles Teller at his absolute best.
Yeah.
I mean, it's just there wasn't a moment where I wasn't like gripping the chair and just like fully invested. Even like the third act that goes on just a hair too long, still amazing. Yeah.
I can't help but agree. My number 3, however, is Nope. Jordan Peele's Nope. I thought this movie was so inventive, such an interesting take on the UFO film, and took it places I was not expecting. And I think, again, for a blockbuster, it is pretty deep, and it's saying a lot, but not sort of bigger than its britches. You know, I think it never, in my opinion, comes off as pretentious. I think the message is there if you're looking for it. I think it went over some people's heads, according to some user reviews. But all that being said, I think it's sort of my favorite kind of blockbuster, where it can be a thinker if you're there for it, but it's also just on face value a thrilling movie with really interesting visuals and saying something. Yeah. So again, we've said enough about Nope on the show, but very excited to see what Jordan Peele does next.
Yeah. I mean, we've said so much about it that like it's hard to even add to what you just said, but it is my number 2.
Nice. Very good.
So just take everything that we've said on this show, everything Adam just said, and just roll that in. What can I really add? Keke Palmer's the shit.
Yeah, she's great.
Yeah. So
my number 2 is Top Gun Maverick. So I think we're making this easy for each other. Yeah, everything Marco said. It's an adrenaline rush of a film. It does some good things, some strong story things with the characters involved. And again, I think that's all we can ask for these requels. if you will. Yeah.
Right. My number one, I kind of feel like our number ones are going to be the same again.
Probably.
Everything, Everywhere.
All at Once.
That's the number one.
That is my number one as well.
It's just so good.
Yeah.
I mean, when's the last time you watched a movie that everyone told you was this good, and then you were like, you walked away from it going, you know what? It's actually this good. Like,
for the listeners, it's even better.
Yeah. I mean, it was, I couldn't, I really thought that I knew what I was getting into when I watched it.
Yeah.
And I had no idea. It's I mean, it's just an incredible achievement to mix all of the things that they did, all of the genres, all of the performances. I mean, the visual artistry of it,
the editing.
Yeah,
oh my God,
editing alone should earn them an Oscar.
Yeah.
I mean, it was just, I mean, and I mean, it was the most recent time that I can remember. I mean, I was bawling. I'm not even gonna lie to you. I tried to like I was watching it and I was like, we were watching it together. There would be times where I kind of looked over to you and I was like, should I be like, my throat hurts. Like I'm trying to like really fight these tears.
I'm gulping really hard.
and then, you know, you just get into that third act and like, I mean, just start streaming down my face. And I was like, this is so good. This movie is pulling on heartstrings I didn't even know were attached to my heart. There's some stuff that like you can't even, you know, as a straight male, like there's some stuff that I can't relate to on the surface of it, but the way that it's told, the way that it was told, like really pulls you in it, and it you can understand it. It's like it's fuck, man. It's just so good.
And then the unique message of a movie that is steeped in martial arts film history of being inherently non-violent, I think is so interesting. Yeah. You know, and it being about love and not fighting each other, but about embracing each other and, you know, loving each other for who you are is such an interesting thing and such a nuanced and like different way to handle this. Only one of the genres that they were tackling. Yeah. But obviously established with Michelle Yeoh, you expect it to be this all-out kung fu film, and it becomes so much more than that throughout the entire story. And you know, I really hope she especially gets her flowers for this film, because the job she did in particular, I think, rose above and beyond most of the performances I've seen in films this year. Yeah. So,
I mean, if she undoubtedly deserves an Oscar nomination. Yeah. It would be really fucking cool if they just threw her that trophy, you know what I'm saying? Just do the right thing, Academy.
That's all we're saying.
Do the right thing.
Yeah. She earned it.
Brendan Fraser is right there.
Oh yeah.
For that Best Actor nomination, and Michelle Yeoh is right there for that Best Actress win. Just give it to her.
Yeah.
Just don't fuck around.
Do the right thing.
Do the right thing.
Yeah.
Or we know where to find you. Academy. All right. That, ladies and gentlemen, was our year-end list. The best movies, video games, and albums of the year. If you have any of your own that you think that we missed egregiously, please keep them to yourself. No. Yeah. Please send us, because I there's nothing that I love more than to have somebody disagree with my list and then give me their own list.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I would love to hear about movies that I haven't seen yet that people recommend, especially music too. And
if you say Taylor Swift's album, I'm going to stab you though. How about that? Keep that shit to yourself.
Look, I'm sure
it's good.
I'm not anti-Taylor at all. I just don't think it's one of her better albums. I like what she did earlier. I like Folklore.
You did like Folklore, yeah. You did. You tried to get me to listen to it.
Yeah,
I didn't.
You didn't do it.
I listened to some of it. I was my Bluetooth kind of fucked up in my car.
Yeah. Sure.
Listen to me. Let me finish. Okay. My Bluetooth kind of fucked up in the car today, so I turned on the radio, and I heard "Anti-Hero" from her latest album. The song sucks, dude.
Yeah, it's bad. It's bad.
Song sucks.
It's bad.
All right.
I don't like it.
So if that's what the rest of Midnight sounds like, let me stop. I'm gonna get all the Swifties on. I've already probably said too much.
You don't need to do it.
I've said too much.
Yeah.
Hashtag her though.
We already have the beehive on us, so
On you, motherfucker. Not on me.
hey, we're
'Cause I'm part of the beehive.
we're associated.
I'll drop you like a bad habit. If they come swarming, I will sell you out.
Yeah, it's all right.
He didn't listen to 4. He didn't listen. He didn't listen to fuck. I fucking set myself up.
Yep.
Okay. Do you think we need to do a cheers of the week? I think the whole episode was
The whole episode was the cheers of the week. Yeah. I think we're fine with that. Yeah.
Okay. Well, then if there's no cheers of the week, obviously the entire episode was a cheers. Then there's nothing left to do but get into these brewskis. So, Obi, please tell the people what you thought of what we were drinking tonight.
I enjoyed this.
I'm sorry. Love Thy Neighbor.
Love Thy Neighbor.
Redlight.
The 7%
Our
malt liquor. I mean, it's really easy drinking, and especially for being a 7%, I feel like that's, not in the higher level, but it's higher than it tastes.
Yeah.
I don't get many individual notes from this, but I don't think that's the point. Smooth and tasty. Very simple. I'm going to give it a 4.5. 4.5. I enjoyed it. I think this would be a very easy drinker if you're not sure what to get and you can't really find anything. And this guy comes walking up to you and goes, "Can I get you something?" And you're like, "I don't know. Love Thy Neighbor." I think you'll be satisfied.
I agree.
Yeah.
Excuse me. I'm going to give this girl a 5 for everything that you said and more. I think I just really enjoyed the taste of it. It's nice, crispy boy. It's slightly sweet on the back end. I think these I could have crushed that 4-pack by myself.
Yeah,
easily.
Yeah,
easily.
It's surprising how smooth it is.
Yeah. And I mean, malt liquors usually, I think there's a charm to them, especially if you're from here, it's very hard. Or let me rephrase. If you're from somewhere else and then you come here, we can't do the 40-ounce thing. And the malt liquors are not hugely popular around here, but they have a charm to them, I think.
Sure.
And, but they're not that good.
No, they're never good.
No, that's the thing. It's funny that
it's literally rock gut.
Yeah. And people,
Old English,
they love when we do this. And it's that's so fun that you guys do a malt liquor and stuff. I love it. We used to put it in the bottle and we put it in the bag and everything, and it's a whole thing. We've done it on the show.
Yeah.
So you guys just go back and listen to that episode.
Sure.
But it's funny that the charm of the thing, the show itself, kind of supersedes the fact that malt liquors usually kind of fucking suck.
Well, I think that's the fun part of it is especially, I don't mean to get socioeconomical here, but you're at Winter Park. It's funny for people to be like, "Oh, I'll take a malt liquor."
Yeah, right.
Ooh, am I liquor? Ghetto? It's like ghetto cosplay.
Yeah,
for some people,
makes it easier for them.
Right.
They can do it without having to leave the comfort of their cars.
Look, I'm a hobo.
All that being said, I think it's delicious.
It's good.
Yeah.
It's good. And so it's a interesting thing to do because many breweries aren't doing a malt liquor.
And that's just one reason why you should visit Redlight in Orlando, Florida. Boom. All right. You think we got it, brother?
I know we got it.
Well, if Obi says we got it, then we need to get the freak out of here. This has been the One Beer In podcast. For myself, Marco Dupa. For Adam Obesius Rodriguez.
R.I.P. Ralphie.
Thank you. Oh, maybe we should have done a cheers of the week for him.
I didn't want to bring it down,
No, that doesn't bring it down. I did it with Frank or Bo.
I know.
Frankie's still
alive. He's in there.
No, yeah. R.I.P. Ralphie.
Yes,
for sure.
R.I.P. Ralphie. My family dog, unfortunately, had to be put down, and He was a good boy. Born in 2010. Had him that long.
Crazy.
Yeah. An oversized Yorkie. Maybe we'll put a picture up here.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, just a good boy. Hug your good boys and good girls, because they never last long enough.
Never.
But this one's for you, Ralph. We miss you and your little nubby tail wagging. We'll see you someday.
Thank you guys for listening. Drink delicious beer and have a beautiful evening.
We love you.